I think I'm just going to record to the. I'm just going to record to the cloud, and we'll start doing it this way. Hmm. All right, I got it. We're being live streamed once again. The 183rd episode of meeting with friends here on our roundtable, or the current event show, whichever you want to call it. I like to call it the current event show, but I think we're going to start. I think maybe we might be changing the name of this show to "You Can Write a Book About That," or "You Should Write a Book About That." So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. It's Wednesday on the whatever day it is, the 22nd, and it is 5:05 in the afternoon. So everybody this is the busiest travel day of the year. And so we are here having a good time, partying our behinds off for those kids that are listening. And remember, this is an opinion show. So whatever you hear, do your own research, and welcome everybody, and happy and a healthy Thanksgiving to everyone, including all of the American Indians out there that are listening. So just want to let you know that this is a great holiday for everybody. So don't forget to send the cards and letters. So welcome. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing great. I just saw David Letterman on Stephen Colbert the other night, and that was really entertaining. I don't know if you're into David Letterman, but he's just a unique guy, and he was Stephen Colbert's guest on the show. It was really great to see, and he's really a fan of music, and so he brought on the band that he wanted to have play, the band called The National. You ever heard of them?
No.
Neither had I, but it was one of his favorite bands, and he wanted them to play on his episode of Stephen Colbert. Because it was like, David Letterman used to do his show from that same theater where Stephen Colbert's show is done from now. So it's kind of a momentous occasion to bring David Letterman back to his theater. It was very cool. Anyway.
It was very cool. I didn't get to see it. I just saw the opening monologue, because I catch it on YouTube rather than YouTube TV. And I was going to watch the Letterman, as Letterman's an acquired taste, though. He is an acquired taste. But he's been around a long time.
You should watch, if you have a chance to watch that interview with him and Stephen Colbert, I think you'll get a kick out of it no matter what, because he's just quirky as all David Letterman has always been.
Has he shaved, or does he still have that huge beard?
Still has a giant Santa Claus beard. He's pretty interesting looking, but that's his thing, I guess.
It's crazy, I guess he must have said to himself, I had to be clean shaven all of these years to be on TV, so screw it, screw it. I don't want to be. I don't want to look like that anymore. I want to look like Santa Claus. Because that is a big.
I guess so. It's very big. Yeah. It's pretty different. He was talking about his son just went off to college last year. He's a sophomore now. He was talking about how it was his wife's birthday that day. He was good. He was really good.
Yeah. He had this show on Netflix, and I'm trying to remember, Without Any Introduction, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, this some quirky name. Yeah, our next guest needs no introduction, or something like that. Something like that.
Yeah. And I've watched some of them. I mean, some of them were really good. As a matter of fact, everyone I watched was really good. And the one that stands out, I guess, the one that stands out to me was the Seinfeld one, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, Seinfeld's
and he did Barack
great.
Obama. I thought it was
good
really
at chatting.
Cool.
Yep, very cool.
Good interviewing. So speaking of old timers, the Rolling Stones, the Mick Jagger's over 80, and they are going back out on the road. The Rolling Stones. I find that fascinating. That
you saw who sponsors the sponsor of the tour is.
The AARP. It's crazy.
That's the best. That's just funny. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think it's crazy that they're being sponsored by the Association of Retired People. I think that's what it stands for.
American Association of Retired People, right? Isn't that what it is? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, they're a pretty big lobbying organization. I'm a member. It's like one of those things that you say when they finally send you your invitation, you say, "I'm not that old. What do I need this for?"
Hey, this is for my father, right? Okay.
Yeah, this is not for me. This is not for
Right.
me.
Right.
What the hell? So,
Right.
but I thought it was pretty cool that they're doing it, and the Stones, the Stones had to approve it. So, hey, there you have it. You
It's going to
know,
be great. Another big stadium tour. That's what the world needs. Another big stadium tour for 2024.
well, when you think about it, okay, so Live Nation had the best year ever, billions and billions and billions of dollars that they made. I think 2.3 billion, and now they've been stonewalling the Senate, the U.S. Senate. So the U.S. Senate subcommittee just issued them a subpoena, Live Nation, because they're not cooperating with all these junk fees. You know, and I believe that they're thinking that Ticketmaster now, part of Live Nation, and is now a monopoly and controlling the concert industry. Which I never would have thought that would have been an industry that people would regulate, but it seems like it needs to be regulated because people like to be entertained, and they're
But they're
charging.
taking advantage. They're taking advantage of that
Yeah,
monopoly
taking
big
advantage
time.
of
They
it.
got their
Yeah.
fees like crazy. So wait, now what's the relationship between AEG Live and Live Nation? They're two separate entities that do the same thing, right?
That's correct. They're two different companies. Two different companies.
Because AEG Live, what runs like the crypto.com arena, used to be the Staples Center in LA, right? Doesn't it?
Well, they only have a fraction of the market, whereas Live Nation has the bulk of the market. Live Nation has
Okay.
gone into not only do they own Ticketmaster, and remember, do your own research right now because I'm just making this up as I go. But not only do they own Ticketmaster, but they also own all the venues that they've owned so many venues, i.e., the House of Blues. They own that. And they own a bunch of other venues. I don't know them all, but so basically, and they have management, whereas they manage artists as well. So basically, they have basically a vertical operation where they have the artist, they have the venue, they have the ticket sales, and they're controlling all of this. So the thought was is that look, if you're going to book my act, you're gonna book it my way, and I'm not going to let you, if you're gonna book something from another agency, then we're not going to cooperate with you. So you either have to book all of our acts all of the time, or we're not going to give you anything, and then you're going to be stuck with the dribs and drabs of with what AEG has to offer you, and that'll limit you. So Live Nation is really, I think that they have created a monopoly.
Well, the future will tell how that pans out.
Well, it's Richard Blumenthal has subpoenaed them, and so I think we're going to find out pretty soon on what's going on with Live Nation. You actually not only do you perform with shows with Barry Manilow, but you also are a ticket buyer, which is interesting to me that you go out and buy concert tickets.
Well, I'm not one of those people that's connected to everybody that can, oh, hey, Joe, can you get me into the show? I'm not one of those people. There's lots of those people that know everybody or know enough people that they never pay for tickets, but I was never one of those people.
Oh, I was definitely one of those people. And not only was I one of those people, I was backstage on most of the shows. So it was a kind of interesting transition of, well, do I buy a ticket and sit in the audience where I have no control over my destiny, or do I not go to the show because I'm so used to being with the artist and being backstage for all the years that I was in the concert business?
Right. Well,
I, you know, I,
I have chosen to, Cheryl likes to go see shows, and she likes that a lot. So I just try to be an attendee, and I try not to let my pickiness about the concert get in the way of her experience. So I try to make it a good experience for her by not focusing on that stuff too much. And if I were to know somebody that was working at a concert and they got me backstage passes or something, she wouldn't even be interested in doing that, because where do you sit? Where do you enjoy the concert? Not backstage, So it's mostly just trying to keep Cheryl happy.
Yeah, I mean, the basic thought process that I think about it, is that I've been backstage so many times, and I remember one time, and this is, you should write a book about this. Oh, I should. Oh, yeah. What a coincidence. But basically, I remember one time being backstage at a Bon Jovi show, and I was with my good friend Peter, who was their travel agent, and we were in the office talking about, I don't know what we were bullshitting about something with John's production manager, great guy, Omar Abderman, love him, and we were just talking about stuff and nothing, just like we're rambling on here. And I realized that the band was on stage, and it made me realize that, man, the reason I got into this business in the first place was for the music, because I love the music. And now I am on the business side in the back of it. And I said, guys, I got to go out and listen to the band, you know? And so I went out and listened to the band, and, it's crazy that I've been involved with so many different bands, especially selling the gear to so many bands. And I mean, we've worked with so many different artists over the years. And I have personally, being in the A&R world, working for a record label, um, you know, um, so it was and living in Hollywood, or living in Las Vegas, where you get to see the best of the acts. And now being in Thailand, some of my friends say, "Hey, we're going to see the ABBA tribute band." What? Oh no, I can't do that. I just can't do that. I can't do that. Oh, come on, there'll be food and drinks. Let's go. We're all going. And I went to go see the ABBA tribute band, and no matter how hard I wanted to be in the moment of, being wrapped up with the ABBA tribute band, they were horrible. I mean, they were just
Oh, I'm
horrible.
sorry to hear that. Oh, that's too bad.
You know?
I was hoping you were going to end that story with, and I went to see ABBA tribute band, and they were fabulous, and I had a great time. I just turned off all those picky things that I normally would have, thinking about why they're doing this or why they're doing that, and you turned it all off, and you loved the ABBA tribute band, but that was not the story. Oh well.
Well, I'm going to change my story now, because that's what you want to hear. I'm telling you, they were amazing, unbelievable. I mean, they even looked like ABBA, at least the cartoon version of them.
Well, David works for that Eagles tribute band, and he's having a great time working for them. It's almost
Yeah.
as if he's working for the Eagles. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I wish he was here right now, but I guess he's got more important things to do. He's eating ribs.
I'm sure he does. Yeah. So yeah, for sure.
I mean, there's been people around a long time. Like Dick Van Dyke is still alive. I mean,
well, but you mentioned Omar Abdurrahman. Now, let me just tell you, Omar was Barry Manilow's production manager for some months many years ago. Did you know that?
Yeah, long time.
And he was also production manager on some shows that Barry's Monitor Guy did. And so I texted Omar a while ago. I forget why, but I texted him a while ago, and he remembered me and stuff. And he's a great guy.
He is absolutely amazing guy. He's working with the Jonas Brothers right now.
Oh, is he? That's funny, because I know somebody that's working on that show. I'll have to say something to them.
Yeah, he's the production manager, and he's done I've traveled all over the world going to some of the shows that he did. Miley Cyrus, he did Ariana Grande.
He's one of those guys that just knows how to make it all happen,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And puts the right people in the right places so that he's confident everything is gonna. And he has some phrases that he likes to use that I remember every once in a while. I flash back to Omar would say. you know, the showtime is 8 o'clock, as God intended. That's
Well, he seems
things
to
like
get it
that.
together.
Oh,
He
he's got
gets
it
it
really
together,
together.
and
Yeah, yeah.
he does shows all over the world.
Here was his claim to fame on the Manilow tour was that on the Manilow tour, Barry said, "I just want to have one camera focused on me for the whole show, and just keep it on my face, and that'll work. That'll work. I promise you, that'll work." And Omar was like, "No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that." And he kind of refused to do that for a while. Eventually, I think he gave in and said, "Go ahead, whatever." And frankly, Barry's right. It works 90% of the time. You can just stay on his face, but you should have a properly cut show for his show. It's just so silly when it's just one camera the whole show, but it works for 90% of the show.
Well, the interesting thing is it's the audience perspective. What do you think the audience wants to see? And so the IMAG aspect is that it basically the director of the IMAG is really controlling what he believes that the audience wants to see. You know, and of course the artist has overall control of what it is. If he says, "Hey, I want you to put that camera on my mug and follow me around," well, that sounds to me that that's what's going to happen. And then the audience has to look at, focus on what they want to see with binoculars. If they want to see the guitar riff, or they want to see the saxophone player, or they want to see the backup singers, or whatever it is they want to see,
Right. But the average concert goer is fine with with what the director wants them to see, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, then you go into a thing like the Sphere, and then where the video is everywhere, and it's an intricate part of the show, and then a lot of it is pre-recorded as well. But I would think that I mean, one of my very first gigs was doing IMAG, and my very first road tour was on the road with Led Zeppelin doing IMAG, although it didn't last very long. And that's something I should write a book once I hear from my lawyer about the statute of limitations of what I did. But that's about the size of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be not able to write about write about their stories, because especially these days, because they signed NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and so there's only so much you can say that doesn't that doesn't disobey your NDA and get you in a lot of trouble, right?
Yeah, well, not only that, of course, in the old days of sex, drug, and rock and roll, now you can't, you could talk about the drugs part, and you could talk about the rock and roll part, but you can't talk about the sex part, because it could come back to haunt you, especially if
Yeah,
you're
the
famous. I mean, look at Steven Tyler.
politically correctness. Yeah. Well, yeah. What happened to him? I noticed he's fallen from grace, so to speak. Is he still out there doing shows?
Well, he's quite old, and I think he did have some medical problems. But right now, he's being sued by like an ex-girlfriend, on something. But you'd have to do your own research on that.
Oh, sorry to hear that. That's too bad. Because forever it was like, do whatever you want. It's show business. It's like, it's another world, and we live by different rules. We don't go by the laws, that the government makes. We go by different laws. But now that's turning around.
Basically, I think what's happened is that America has become too litigious. I mean, that's all there is to it. They're just it's not about like what was it? Diddy, is that the guy's name, Tina? Sean Diddy, Sean. What's
Diddy,
his name?
Sean Combs. P. Diddy.
Yeah, Sean
He has a
Combs.
lot of names.
So basically, his ex-girlfriend sued him, or and it wasn't about anything but the money.
Well, she
All she
tried. It
wanted
was so
money.
quick, the settlement.
Yeah, it was all about money. It wasn't about anything else. I mean, what do they say? There's nothing worse than the fury of a scorned woman.
Well, wait. What are we talking about? Which lawsuit are we talking about? The recent one?
Yeah, the one where he just made this huge settlement that nobody knows about because she accused him
Jan,
of.
let me tell you something. I
Tell me
I
something.
agree with her because this dude isn't what everybody thinks he is, in my opinion. So,
Yeah.
so if she claims her claims are really, really terrible, and if he decided to settle it for between 10 and 99.9 million, according to CNBC, then something happened. He forced her. She claims he forced her into sex slave trade. He raped her. He beat her all the time. I mean, I used to always wonder why they separated so quick, and why they didn't look happy all the time. Why they were always
Yeah.
separate. The way he carried her. So I'm not saying that she didn't sue him because she needed money, but I'm saying she needed to be compensated for that. That's fine. He has it. He's worth over a billion. So I mean, if he
Unbelievable. Over $1 billion. Wow.
It's crazy. It's crazy what men do. It's
yeah.
isn't it?
I mean, but he settled
it's
it
appalling
so
to me.
quick.
It's appalling
I
to
mean,
me.
think
Well,
about that.
he doesn't want the bad press, right?
Well,
But
he can't afford it
he
with
must
all
have been.
well,
He
with
he
all the
must have been at
rumors
least a
going
little
around right
guilty,
now
right?
about him.
He
Exactly.
must have been at least a little guilty.
He had to be. But
Well,
he
good
has
for
a lot.
her.
There's a lot
Hopefully
of
she got a
theories
lot
and
of money.
rumors about him going around right now. So that would just blow everything out the water for him. So
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, usually what we find out is that if you're in the wrong, if you're in the wrong, that you fight it. If you're in the right and you settle as quickly. If they're in the right, you settle as quickly as possible.
I mean, he
If you
settled that
if you're in
within
the
3 days. Like it was settled.
yeah
Oh no.
yeah. That's that. I heard that a long time ago. If you're in the right, if you're in the right, you just settle, get it
Did
over
you
with.
see?
That's if you're in the wrong,
Jan,
then you fight it.
speaking of settling, did you see that movie? What's it called? The Burial. The Burial. Did you see that movie yet?
Not yet. No, I haven't seen it.
That movie. In that movie, the key person in the movie, the funeral home operator, did not want to settle, and his lawyer really did not want to settle. That lawyer, who was played by Jamie Foxx, said, "We're not settling. No way are we settling. If we're settling for no, because I've never lost a case, and he considered a settling as a loss. So he was like." If they were going to settle, you got to see the movie, but anyway. The point is, it's a true story, and it actually happened this way in terms of the settlement. And in the end, they won the case, and the jury awarded him an extraordinary amount of money, and it was way more than any of the settlements that were offered. And anyway, it's an interesting story. I'm sorry to change the subject away from P Diddy,
No,
but settling is a very common thing.
To start about right now. And the reality is of course, it all blends together. In reality, it all just blends together.
Well, lawsuits and settlements and things like that. The case that funeral home operator had in The Burial was a really good case, and I guess so, because he won, and the jury awarded him tons of money, and then they appealed it, and they lowered the amount, but he still paid him way more. The reason he wanted to get so much money from this other company was because they tried to put him out of business as a small operator. And so he was like, in return, I'm going to put you out of business. And he succeeded as the small guy. It was like David and Goliath kind of story, It was really cool.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend that movie, especially because Jamie Foxx and Tommy Lee Jones are just such great actors. You wouldn't even think that they were an actor. They were that person. And Jamie Foxx played the lawyer, and just a great character. He's a great, my father would call him a character, just a great personality that lawyer had. It was cool.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, that's my film recommendation for the week.
Well, I would say that's a good recommendation. I'm going to see Napoleon tonight for Thanksgiving because I hear it's a really good movie, Napoleon. It's a huge, big screen kind of thing. Joaquin Phillips, that's his name. Joaquin Phillips, is that his name?
Sounds familiar.
I believe it is. Yeah, I mean,
yes, that's his name.
He's one hell of a character actor, man. When he gets into a role, man, he gets into it all the way.
He becomes that person.
Speaking of Letterman, speaking of Letterman, with that interview, that was one of the more famous interviews where he was in character of one of his characters that he wouldn't get out of. I think that could be the reason why Letterman grew a beard, is thanks to Joaquin having a beard. It's Joaquin
No
Phoenix.
kidding.
That's what it is, not Phillips.
Wait, Joaquin Phoenix. So wait, are you saying he was on the David Letterman show and it was a very memorable interview?
It was an amazing interview because he wouldn't say anything. He
What?
basically just didn't say anything in the interview. It was like only one word answers and stuff. So if I remember correctly, yeah, just Google.
That's a
Joaquin Phillips,
chat.
David
That's
Letterman.
a talk show host's nightmare. And somebody that doesn't
Yeah.
answer in full sentences. Wow.
Yeah, it was like he was in character. He was like almost he was like drunk, if I remember. But he wasn't drunk. He was just playing the character, whatever character he was. Doing
about
the publicity tour for at the time. So,
Wow.
but speaking of characters,
Oh.
Dick Van Dyke, man, Dick Van Dyke will be honored in a CBS special airing next month. So, I mean, Dick Van Dyke, man, like what a lovable guy.
And
Just
old.
lovable. Yeah,
Very old,
I think
right?
I think he's getting to be in his 90s. I mean, there's a lot of characters out there that are in their 90s right now that we like. Mel Brooks is still alive, I believe, and he's getting up there in his 90s. And I think I don't remember if Carl Reiner is still with us or not, but Rob Reiner
Carl
is definitely
Reiner,
with
yeah.
us.
Carl Reiner. Yeah, Carl Reiner must be.
Yeah, and Rob Reiner is now in the news. Have you seen this? Have you seen Rob Reiner going around doing the publicity circuit right now? He's got a podcast out. It'll be 10 series of who killed JFK. They now have proven.
I heard it's real interesting. There's some twists to the story.
It's amazingly, it's like it's like he says, if you were alive, what does that say?
That says Carl Reiner died in 2020.
Oh, well, he's gone.
Just goes to show you that was my opinion. He must be still alive. That was totally wrong.
Well, he's alive in your mind, and that's a good
I guess so. But he was 98
know?
when he died in 2020.
Yeah.
98.
Yeah, but on the other hand, Kennedy is definitely dead. And
but the question is, how did he die? Is it disputable? I mean, is it negotiable, sort of? I mean, are they talking about different methods?
They absolutely now have proof that the incredible bullet. I mean, there was a scene on Seinfeld where they did a takeoff on that with a baseball player. Newman had spit on him and stuff, stuff like that, where he spit on Newman. That's what it was. Keith something or other. I can't remember the character. But anyway, no, I didn't know this. I did not know this, is that the bullet, they said there was only one bullet, but it would have been a magic bullet because it went in through his chest, went out through his head, hit the guy in the wrist, then hit the guy in the other guy in the car. And it turns out that the Zapruder film had not been seen. Well, the film, there was a guy in the crowd who had taken a home movie and he caught it all on video. And it turns out that the Warren Commission, when they said that it was a lone gunman acting, independently of everyone else, turns out that's not true. That wasn't true at all.
So Dick Van Dyke is 97 years old, and he's going to have a birthday in a couple weeks, December 13th. If he makes it to December 13th, he'll be 98 on December 13th. Wow, how about that?
Very good. And I just want to add one thing right now. Dick Van Dyke was not mentioned at all in the Zapruder film or with Rob Reiner and JFK. It's a separate story. So what's
who's got a what is it, a podcast or a broadcast or something about?
It's a podcast. It's out. It's Rob Reiner and Soledad O'Brien, which is she's a
newscaster.
NPR
she's a journalist. Yeah.
She's a journalist. And he has been doing this research. And so anyway, one of the things that they found and proven that it wasn't just a lone gunman. It's impossible to be a lone gunman. And
How
then
about that?
he like one of the first things that God, I just got mental block on the guy that was
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Lee Harvey Oswald. When the first thing he said in the interview was, "I'm a patsy," and then I mean, just think on live TV, he was walked into the police station, and a bar owner was able to have a gun and kill this guy in a police station. So, and then so what I did not know, and Rob Reiner points out at the time, that Kennedy was a peacenik, and he wanted peace. Well, he didn't want to do the Vietnam thing. He wanted us out of Vietnam. He did, the Bay of Pigs, if you don't know what it was, is that the CIA had convinced him that we needed to do an invasion of Cuba because it was too close to America for it to be communist. And he was assured by the CIA that it would be a no-brainer, just in and out, be all done. They would think that it was Cuban exiles that had done it, not the CIA, and it blew up in their face. And
so are we saying, so the theory is that it was basically the government that killed JFK? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Is that the theory?
It's not the theory. What the theory is that Rob Reiner goes along the lines of saying, if this is a criminal investigation, the first thing that you're going to do is round up all the possible suspects who might have had a motive to kill the guy.
Right.
But what I didn't know, and probably you didn't know, is that at that time, because of the Bay of Pigs, the CIA operation that failed miserably, and Kennedy took responsibility for it, he was misled by the CIA. And so Kennedy had secretly made plans to disband the CIA. So because of that, they had motive. Right?
So somebody was out to get him. Somebody was out to get him.
Right. General LeMay, the General LeMay, who was the Air Force colonel, who was the head of chief of staff of the military, he too was against Kennedy because Kennedy wanted to have peace. And he felt it was a bad idea with Russia.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'll have to listen to that podcast. Do you know the name of that podcast other than that I can look up Rob Reiner and Soledad O'Brien?
Yeah. Who killed JFK?
It's only about that. That's their only subject, huh?
That's it.
Oh, how interesting. I'll have to look it up. Hey, by the way, did you see, I don't want to rub in bad news, but Spotify premium subscribers now have access to Audible books, or what's it called? Books that are on tape, so to speak. Books.
Right.
What's that called? What's the name for it? Anyway.
It. Books on, pre-read books.
Yeah.
But not Audible brand necessarily.
No,
is the brand,
Audible is Amazon. So basically, they're just having books on, I would call it, recorded books.
Recorded books. So they have those.
Audio.
That's part of
books.
Spotify now. That's part of Spotify now.
They just call it audiobooks.
Audiobooks. Thank you. Audiobooks. So audiobooks are now on Spotify. You can look up any book and maybe it'll be available to listen to, on Spotify. You're allowed, as a premium user, you're allowed 15 hours a month of listening. So that's great, don't you think?
Well, 15 hours would be a short story. Most of these books are a lot longer than that, so they'll get you coming and going there.
Well, I'm not sure how you can get more hours of reading, but I suppose you can get an Audible subscription or something, but I don't think Spotify would be interested in that. Spotify has some sort of upgrade path or something, right? I'm not sure.
Well, speaking of bad news, although I don't listen to it, the rumor is that Joe Rogan's contract is up and he's leaving Spotify.
That's okay. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, but anyway, and basically the rumor is that he's going to X. He was going to have a show on X, but right now
that would make sense. That would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know if they have enough money to do it now because they're losing. They've lost
billions every day. Yeah.
Advertising.
Yeah, it's great. That's so great. Oh my God, what a crazy situation.
I had no idea who was advertising on X, and huge dollars. I mean, like you have Apple, which is over $1 million, IBM over $1 million,
all the
NFL,
TV networks. Yeah, oh yeah, the NFL.
The NFL.
Wow.
I had no idea how much money the NFL was spending on Spotify, on X. I had no idea on Twitter.
Well, I'm sorry to say that I got to run, but But I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving there in Thailand, and Tina, have a happy Thanksgiving in Vegas or wherever you go. And but I gotta go.
I think we've been on pretty much. We have some other stories I want to talk about. But before you go, I'm just going to say this. Martha Stewart is not having a turkey day this year. She's canceled her Thanksgiving dinner. And that
Is
is
that because her
sad.
best friend stopped smoking pot? What?
Oh yeah, Snoop Dogg stopped smoking pot. There's something else that's
But they're
that's
good friends,
that,
right? So maybe that's why.
yeah. Yep. Well, all I would say is that it's too bad. Too bad, that she's not having Thanksgiving. So anyway, that's about it.
Yeah,
We
well,
will. Let's see what else. That's about all I wanted to talk about anyway today. I just want to wish everybody a very happy and a healthy Thanksgiving. And just so you know, we do have a link. The difference between sweet potatoes and yams, basically not much. They're both root vegetables, so who cares? Really, I think you're not going to feel cheated if you order sweet potatoes and you get yams. I don't think anybody will say, "Hey, I ordered sweet potatoes and yams. Take them back." Nobody's going to say that. And
Sweet
as long as they have
potatoes are a little
marshmallows in it, yeah, as long as there's marshmallows on top, who cares? Really, seriously, that's it.
and on that
So
note, we say happy Thanksgiving. Hasta la vista, baby.
that's it. We'll talk to you again next week. Ken, thanks for joining us. Tina, thanks for joining us. I wish you all a very happy and a healthy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
We're going to leave you now and just have a great time. Remember, you make it happen. Share the show with your friends. If you want, become to the panel. And remember, everything you heard today was an opinion. And I will leave you with my one thought. You make it happen. Go out and make it happen. Stay safe. Stay healthy, everybody. Until next week, we'll see you then. And bye for now. And we are off the